By now, you should know that we love our nature stories here on Expresso. This morning, we bring you a story all the way from down under in Australia. As with many countries, their zoos were closed to the public because of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. But a surprising friendship has since developed between a koala and a wombat at the Australian Reptile Park in Somersby. So when zookeepers put Elsa the koala and Hope the wombat in an enclosure together, it didn't take long for them to become very good buddies and subsequent lockdown BFFs. Now, Jake Meaney, one of the zookeepers from the Australian Reptile Park, joins us to tell us a little bit more about this rather unusual pairing and really cool story. Jake, a very good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fantastic, man. And I'm going to ask you straight off the bat to introduce us to your furry little friend there.
So he is sitting on my shoulder. I'm going to try and get her to look at you guys, but this is Elsa. She's a koala. She's a bit distracted at the moment, but I'm sure her face will make an appearance at some point.
I'll expect the oohs and ahs to resonate across the studio. It just looks incredible.
Here she comes.
Oh, man. Oh, just too sweet,
She's
man.
so cute.
Oh, man, I love my job, but you might have one of the best jobs in the world, Jake, I think, especially when you get stories like this emerging. So how unusual is this? Would you expect a friendship to develop between a wombat and a koala? How does something like this come about, and were you really surprised to see the connection they made?
Yeah, well, in the wild, a koala and a wombat are really not going to come into contact with one another. One's in the tree and one's on the ground. But in actual fact, they're very closely related species. And as a result, in captivity, they seem to kind of be drawn to one another and get on quite well. So what we've been doing with little Hope the wombat is actually allowing her to run around on the ground in the koala exhibit, and Elsa and Hope have become quite close during that time.
So how do they interact? I'm picturing them kind of sitting down, having a little tea, maybe sharing a story too. What sort of interaction? How do they connect?
Well, obviously the wombat, it can't climb trees, so it's all up to Elsa to make the move and come down. So what she'll do is come down when Hope's running around on the ground, and basically they'll kind of get up next to each other, and sometimes they kind of rub up against each other. They'll touch their noses together.
Oh,
it's very, very cute.
Oh, man, just too sweet for words. Now, I know this is a beautiful, warm, fluffy story, but I understand that both these animals have had pretty tough beginnings to their lives, with both having been hand-raised by your incredible team to ensure their survival. Can you tell us a bit more about their origin stories?
Yeah, absolutely. So Elsa, the koala here, she was actually born here at the reptile park. We have quite a number of joey koalas born every year, and typically they'll stay with mum and things go smoothly. But unfortunately, in this case, for this girl, her mum developed mastitis, could no longer really look after the baby here. So what happened is the keepers stepped in and actually began to hand raise Elsa herself. Basically, just like mum would, they will feed the koala around the clock, make sure that it's well cared for. And now she's just over a year old, and she's doing really, really well. Nice, big, healthy little female koala. The wombat Hope, a little bit of a different story. She was actually born in the wild, and very unfortunate, her mother was hit by a car on the road. Oh. And when that happens, often the joey will survive, but eventually die because it has no mother. Now, fortunately, someone found the joey and was able to bring her to us, and then we began rearing her, and she's doing really well as well. Just celebrated her first birthday.
Oh, man, so you're running, of sorts, a little animal creche, and it's going really, really well. They are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, Elsa really is stealing the show there, but I would imagine reinforcing the really important work that you and your team do. Australia reportedly has the worst mammal extinction rate on the planet at the moment, with over 30,000 koalas having been killed during your obviously very tragic bushfires in 2019. I mean, we were able to take in so much of what was going on there, even here in South Africa. Do you perhaps hope that Elsa's story is going to bring some attention to the koala and those desperate conservation efforts?
Yes, absolutely. Koalas in the wild, even before the fire, were having a lot of issues with habitat destruction, big areas of land being cleared for residential areas, for infrastructure. And then when those fires came through, it just made the whole basically process so much worse. It sped up that removal of the trees that they require. So yeah, the hope is that Elsa and all the other koalas in wildlife parks around the country, they can be used as ambassadors for their wild counterparts.
Jake, thank you so much for connecting with us and taking such good care, stepping in as Mama Koala there. I see you're doing a very, very good job. And if any other strange unions happen in the reptile, I mean, don't force it, but if any other cool stories emerge, please let us know. We'd love to connect with you guys. And send our love to Little Hope as well, and give Elsa a massive cuddle from the whole of South Africa, actually. She's just too sweet, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. The Australian Reptile Park has reopened in a careful and responsible way with all social distancing measures and updated procedures in place for visitors, as you'd understand. So from us in South Africa, we'll stay tuned to our social feeds to see more awesome stories like this. Oh, there we go. There's the money shot.